Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Kano Tryharding Modern. Today we will be playing Monogreen Tron. Now, there was a spicier version of Tron that I saw playing Oath of Nissa and Nicol Bolas Dragon God, but that's not really Tryharding material. That's more like Mad Meta material. So today we will be playing the most recent 5.0 list for Tron. The only comment that I have for this list is it appears to be more anti-aggro oriented. We are playing 3 main deck relics for additional cycling and Grave Hate versus decks like Dredge, because they are becoming a little more rampant in the meta. The only thing I'm worried about on the side is we don't have a Trinisphere anywhere, but we don't have a lot of we don't have Trinisphere anywhere, and we don't have a lot of Veil of Summers. We only have one. So, I mean, personally, if this was my list, I would probably drop Walking Ballista or Witchbane Orb out of the side for a Veil of Summer or two, but this is not my list. This is the most recent 5.0 list. So we're going to play this list and see if it has any additional merits. Yeah, let's go ahead and take this into a competitive constructed league. I'll see you guys in round one. Alrighty, round one, here we go. Let's try and Tron some people, shall we? I've been having terrible mulligan luck with Tron, and I'm really hoping that it doesn't carry over into today. Because there have been leagues where, you know, you get the god draw like every game and you're almost guaranteed to go 4-1. And then you get leagues like a league that we had a couple of maybe 3 or 4 videos ago where it was like, yep, gonna mulligan to 4 every time to try and find Tron. So this hand actually could potentially be very good. I could start Chromatic Star, and then I have Ancient Stirrings or Sylvan Scrying potentially. If I had a second star instead of a relic, I actually might consider keeping this, which is weird because it is a 1-land hand. Well, there's 2 Ancient Stirrings, we have a Forest. This might be a turn 4 Tron. Against an unknown opponent, this is tough. I'm going to go to 5. Alright. It's not super amazing, but I will try and make this work. Opponent starts Wooded Foothills. We draw Expedition Map. Start Urza's Tower. Play Expedition Map. Pass the turn. Opponent cracks Wooded Foothills. They get a Blood Crypt, untapped. They tapped for red mana, and then didn't do anything. Alright, cool. Opponent's second turn. It looks like they're probably Death Shadow, Jund or 4-color. They play Kroxa. As much as I don't like it, I think I actually have to discard Karn here. It prevents damage, especially if they are Death Shadow. That could actually matter a ton. Play Sanctum, pass the turn. And the reason that I say it could matter a ton is if they are playing Scourge of the Skyclaves. Opponent plays a Liliana of the Veil. Let's go get Urza's Mine. Okay, Lily resolves. I'm going to discard Sylvan Scrying. Actually, am I? Next turn I can play and play Sphere, activate, and cast Sylvan Scrying, which will give me 2 cards in hand. So I guess I discard Expedition Map. I'm spending 2 cards, but I end up with 2 cards. I guess Expedition Map could matter more if my opponent could get me Hellbent, but I forgot about the card we were drawing. Play Urza's Mine. Play Chromatic Sphere. Crack Sphere for green. Sylvan Scrying. We'll get a Power Plant. Pass the turn. So, if our opponent forces us to discard, we discard Forest. If they force us to discard twice, we have to discard All Is Dust. Opponent discards a Lightning Bolt. They play Bloodbraid, cascading into an Inquisition. Inquisition gets them nothing. The only problem with this is I'm going to cast All Is Dust, and my opponent's going to follow up with a Kroxa. Whenever you cast a colorless spell with CMC 7 or greater. Okay, so I can actually sack Sanctum for All Is Dust. Play Urza's Power Plant. Play All Is Dust. Sack Sanctum. We'll get a Wormcoil Engine. Cool. Pass the turn. Opponent will probably play Kroxa this turn, unless they, for some reason, need to Thoughtseize us first. Oh, they can't play Kroxa. They don't have double black, double red. We get Inquisition, so there goes Sylvan Scrying. We're going to get hit with a Bloodbraid and go to 14. We draw Karn. If I play Karn and nuke a land, they won't be able to play Kroxa guaranteed. They're not holding a land. I could play Karn Uptick to take their last card in hand. then Karn would be at 10 and would likely stick around long enough to, even if they did play Kroxa, we could just exile it. Wormcoil is much harder for them to answer, though, unless they force us to discard it. I mean, they could have, like, Kolagon's Command, but I'm going to go with a Karn. Something is telling me this is better, and I'm going to uptick on my opponent's hand. That was a Renin 6. Alright. Opponent attacks Karn. We untap. Draw another Urza's Tower. Play Urza's Tower. Play Wormcoil. And we're going to nuke... Let's see, double black, double red. I guess Raging Ravine. Pass the turn. That takes them off of the color requirement. Blood Crypt was, I think, technically better, but sweet. We got there. So my opponent is playing, I think it is Jund Death Shadow. And versus Jund Death Shadow, I may want Weather the Storm. Veil of Summer is also probably decent. I think I'm going to cut a Thragtusk for it. I'm going to try it like this. It's kind of a questionable sideboard decision, so if you're screaming at me in the comments like, Kano, that's wrong, don't do that. I kind of detect that it is, but we'll see. I probably should be bringing in Nature's Claim or Wilt, because my opponent's probably going to have Damping Sphere, now that I'm thinking about that. But I'm thinking about that too late, which is really weird, because it is still very early in the morning, but I'm actually way more lucid than I normally am. I made sure to actually go to sleep when I was supposed to go to sleep last night, and I feel pretty good this morning. Also went for the coffee and did the full morning coffee ritual. We're getting Thought Seized, which I find tends to help keep me awake, force me to be lucid for longer. I can't just grab a can out of the fridge and drink it. I have to sit down and actually put coffee in the coffee machine and all these other things. Yeah, I think it's more likely that my opponent has Hand Hate than Artifact Destruction. Obviously, if we could draw a Power Plant, that would be the best. Shock Stomping Ground into an Ashiok. That is annoying, but there's nothing we can do about that. Unfortunately, we drew our Expedition map at the wrong time. They milled themselves and exiled our grave. We draw All Is Dust. Because we have a forest, I'm okay cracking this early. Play Star. Sack Star for green. Play Sphere. Sack Sphere for green. Sylvan Scrying does nothing because we can't search our library. Honestly, us hitting redraws is probably the best case scenario. Opponent gets to pick up a basic or a fetch land. They pick up a fetch land. Man, I love coffee. Super good. Opponent plays Blood Crypt untapped, goes to 12. So best top deck for us is obviously Power Plant, followed by Ancient Stirrings, followed by a Sphere or a Star. Alright, we're getting Collective Brutality, so opponent's probably going to take All His Dust. They did pitch Kroxa, so I wouldn't mind a Relic, really. Yep, there goes All His Dust. They mill themselves and exile our grave. We untap. Draw Ugin. Man, we're right there. We just can't search our deck. Pass the turn. If we can top deck Power Plant and resolve this Ugin, it's game over. It doesn't even matter what my opponent would play here. I guess it sort of does, because if they had a Pillage, that would probably take us out of the game, but because I see one in their grave. But they're playing Kroxa, and so we're just going to discard Sylvan Scrying because we can't answer Ashiok. They pick up a land. We untap. Power Plant. Damn. Play a forest. Pass the turn. So when Kroxa attacks, we're going to discard Karn. Opponent attacks with Kroxa. Discard Karn. Take 6, go to 12. Opponent picks up another land. I mean, we do have a time limit. 1, because we're getting beat down, and 2, because even if we did answer this Kroxa, my opponent is getting close to alting a Renin 6, and if they do, they can just retrace Pillage until we're dead. Play Chromatic Star. Power Plant. There it is. Play Ugin. Alright, Ugin resolves. So, -3 Ugin. Exile all of my opponent's non-land permanents. So, my opponent on my end step can exile Seasoned Pyromancer from their grave to get 2 1/1s, and then if they have a Lightning Bolt or a Bloodbraid, they'll actually be able to kill Ugin. Which is kind of annoying, but at the same time, there's nothing we can do about it, so we just have to deal. This does unlock our expedition map, thankfully. I'm gonna have to get some new beard balm. My beard is getting, like, bristly. Like, wire brush feeling. And it's like, I don't want that. I want it to be somewhat more soft and manageable than it is right now. We're getting K commanded. We discard a Worm Coil. I think opponent picked up Tarmogoyf. Maelstrom Pulse, alright. Into a Tarmogoyf. So, stop on our upkeep. Expedition map. I could get Blast Zone, as that could technically answer Tarmogoyf, but I'm gonna go greedy and get Tower. Alright. Play Chromatic Star. Sack it for green. Play Tower. Pass the turn. I mean, the odds of my opponent having, like, 2 bolts or something is kind of low, but not 0, because I haven't cast a single bolt this game. So if I had Blast Zone, I'd be taking it up to 2 there, and then I would have an answer for the onboard Tarmogoyf. Should have gone for it. Alright, going to game 3. So we know our opponent has Ashiok. I think... I don't know if I want O-Stone or not, is the problem. The issue is, we're going to have difficulty assembling Tron, so we need to sideboard accordingly. I think... I don't really want to cut any of my good stuff here, because normally in this situation I'd probably cut 1 Ulamog. I guess we don't need it to win. I'm going to bring Thragtusk back in, and even though it's good against my opponent, I think I'm going to drop Veil in favor of a Wilt. I think I would rather just have the cycle on the off chance I need the artifact or enchantment destruction. Alright, I mean, in theory we have enough tutors that we can get to Tron, so I'm going to keep this hand even though it's slow. Hopefully we can get to Tron before our opponent can play an Ashiok. I mean, that should be the case. That should be what happens here. So start Tower Expedition map, pass the turn. Opponent plays Bloodstained Mire. We draw Relic. Play a Forest. Get a Power Plant. Pass the turn. Opponent fetches Bloodstained Mire on her end step. Gets an Overgrown Tomb tapped. They untap. Play a Blackcleave Cliffs. Into a Renin 6. Picking up Bloodstained Mire. We untap and draw Worm Coil. So Sylvan Scrying, get Urza's Mine. Play Power Plant. Play Relic. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play a Blackcleave Cliffs. Uptick Renin 6. And they are now passing. We untap. Is this an Assassin's Trophy? We draw Ulamog. It is an Assassin's Trophy. Do I cycle Relic with this mana? Yes. Yes, I do. Okay. Get a Chromatic Sphere. Get a Forest. Go to our main phase. Players is mine. Play Chromatic Sphere. Sylvan Scrying. Get Power Plant. And Ancient Stirrings. We'll get an All Is Dust. Just as an insurance policy. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Plays a Bloodstained Mire and cracks it. They're up to 4 mana. This could be a Bloodbraid then if they're shocking. They pick up a land. They hit Inquisition. Inquisition does nothing to this hand. I think we have to cast All Is Dust, because we can't let Renin 6 tick up, like, just continually. Alternatively, there's Karn Great Creator, but at the same time, I also don't want... my opponent doesn't know I have this, so if I were to play Karn, I would have 5 mana left over. I don't have Sky Sovereign or anything like that. Okay, so we're going to go for the All Is Dust play here. This way, if I do get Assassin's Trophied, at the very least, I can still play Karn Great Creator. And if I draw land, I can play Karn Great Creator and Liquimetal Coating. If I draw any land, and my opponent does not interrupt my Tron mana, I can cast Ulamog, and that's probably the game. Opponent cast Lily, which is pretty good. Upticks, makes us discard. I think it's going to be Karn. Liberated. He doesn't do well against multiple threats on board every turn. Play Verdant. Hit us for 3. We untap. Draw Thragtusk. Cycle Star for green. Well, we get a tower. Play Ulamog. Nuke, Lily, and Overgrown Tomb. Okay. So opponent has to have another Edict to answer Ulamog. They get an Overgrown Tomb tapped. They untap. They cycle Barrenmoor. They found it. Nice. Alright, there goes Ulamog. Opponent plays a Verdant. Hits us for 3. We go to 11. Untap. Draw Chromatic Seer. So we have 12 mana. And that means I could play Wormcoil. And I could play Karn. And then my opponent doesn't have like a lot of enter the battlefield creatures, so I don't think Torpor Orb is necessary. I could just like wish for Cage and play it. That guarantees some value because my opponent can't like Kroxa or anything like that. I'm gonna get Coding. Play Coding, and I'm gonna shut Liliana off on their upkeep. Opponent cracks Verdant Catacombs, gets a Blood Crypt, stop on their upkeep, turn off Liliana. They Maelstrom Pulse Karns, they get Liliana activation back. They play Bloodstained Mire, get a Mountain. They make us discard, so away goes Sphere. They discard a Swamp, no attacks. We untap, draw Star, play Star, sack for green, draw Sanctum, play Thragtusk, gain life, go to combat, attack our opponent. I don't think Lily is actually that big of a deal now. Okay, opponent no blocks, takes 6, we gain 6. They play and sack a Nurturing Peatland. They cash in Liliana. We'll sack a Thragtusk. Get a Beast. I think it's more important to preserve Wormcoil right now. Okay, opponent plays a Tarmogoyf, which is big enough to block and kill the front half of Wormcoil Engine. We untap. Draw Relic. Alright, play Relic. This makes Tarmogoyf irrelevant. Cycle Relic. Get an Ugin. Even better. You know what? Hang on. Okay, never mind. The old tap 2 towers lethal. Alright. Well, we did win round 1, which is good. And I will see you all in round 2. Alrighty. Round 2. Here we go. I would like to play first. Turn 3 Tron is good. We will keep. I think against an unknown opponent on the play, when you have the option of doing Star, Scrying, or Sphere Star, and then Scrying, or Expedition Map to land on turn 3 Tron, it's generally better to start on Expedition Map if you're going first. Probably if you're going second as well. Just because Sphere plus Star, or Sphere, Star, and then Scrying opens you up to like potentially hand hate counter spells, interrupting your ability to get to Tron. Kind of like this. Like if I had started Sphere, my opponent could have taken Scrying, and then we'd be on like turn 4 Tron. They just scoop. They literally can't beat it. Wow. The old turn 1 concede. Alright, so Blood Crypt Shock Inquisition means that my opponent is either on Death Shadow or Jund Death Shadow. I mean, there's a few other like rogue deck types they could be on. I think I'm going to bring in Veil over an Ulamog. We're going to try it like this. Normally I would consider this, but I think because we're on the draw, that's not that great of a hand. Same with this one. I'm going to 4. Alright. We gotta keep it, but if my opponent starts hand hate, we're gonna be in trouble. My opponent mulliganed to 2. They start Seer Step Pathway. We draw Sylvan Scrying, play Expedition Map, pass the turn. Watch me get smelted. Opponent plays a Sunbaked Canyon. We untap, play Urza's Tower, pass the turn. Opponent untaps, Plays a Hagra Brood Pit. Let's go get Power Plant. Untap. Draw Sanctum. Play Power Plant. The old mull to 4, Karn on turn 3. Oh, I'm sorry, opponent. I'm not sure what you were... I suppose if you couldn't beat my hand with your deck, maybe conceding game 1 to conceal the fact you were actually like some Mardu brew made sense, but I don't know what you were mulliganing for, or if you just got really, really unlucky going to 2, but I'm kind of sorry that was a non-match. Anyway, I'll see you guys in round 3. Believe that was a 3-minute match on recording. Total recording time, 3 minutes 40 seconds right now. Because I took a break between match 1 and match 2. So, alright, see you guys in round 3. Alrighty, round 3, here we go. I would like to play first. Almost. That's a mulligan, though. This is also probably a mulligan. Perfect. Keep. Put back Star Sphere. Opponent mulligan to 6. We'll start Mine Map. Pass the turn. Opponent starts Sunbaked Canyon into a Goblin Guide. Hits us for 2. Karn, Great Creator on top. This is going to be a match where I wish I had Trinisphere. Play Power Plant, pass the turn. I mean, I guess I technically have Witchbane Orb for this matchup, but... Okay, opponent plays a Mountain. Goes to combat. Attacks, revealing Chromatic Star, which is not a card we really want to draw. Let's go get a Tower. Untap. We draw Ulamog. Play Tower. Play big ol' Karn Liberated. Nuke a land. It's okay if he's just a Stone Rain here. Boros Charm. Take 4 damage. Take a land from them. Depending on whether or not we draw a land and whether or not they expend resources on killing Karn, is going to dictate our next turn. If they play a land and play out a bunch of creatures, we'll probably All Is Dust and uptick Karn. I mean, obviously, if they kill Karn, then we're hoping to draw a land for, Great Creator plus Witchbane Orb, or... There's just a few different lines we can take. Obviously, if we draw a Tower, we just cast Ulamog most of the time. Okay, second Goblin Guide. Opponent has played only foil things right now. They're debating about attacking Karn. They just go for us. We untap, we draw Expedition Map. I think we uptick Karn and then cast All Is Dust. I think that's what we do here. We got an Eidolon of the Great Revel. Play Map. Crack Map. Get another Tower. Play Tower. All Is Dust. Pass the turn. And next turn we have Ulamog and Karn shenanigans. That is if we're not just dead here. My opponent could have... Actually, Land Bolt Boros Charm would not do it. Okay, we draw Worm Coil. So, start by taking out a land. Opponent Boros Charms us. We still get a land. Play an Urza's Mine. Play Karn, Great Creator. Wish. And I am going to go for the Witchbane Orb here. Play Witchbane Orb. And the game is over. Nice. I think Trinisphere would have had the exact same effect there. We're going to bring in Weather the Storms, and I think at least 1, probably 2 Nature's Claim. I'm going to drop the Relics, because I don't think the Grave Hate's going to be that important. I'm going to drop an Ulamog, because it seems ambitious. I could go up to 4 Worm Coil in the main, dropping an All Is Dust or an Ugin, but I'm actually not that worried about it right now. So I think I just run it back. Hopefully we can get a good Weather the Storm off when our opponent isn't holding up a Skullcrack or something. This hand is too slow. This hand does literally nothing. This hand might work. Alright, I'm going to keep. We'll put back Ulamog, and I'm going to put back a Chromatic Sphere. We're going to have to get a little lucky, I think. Going to 4 I don't think was worth it, especially against an opponent who's had the ability to sideboard against me. Opponent starts Goblin Guide. We draw Chromatic... Well, we draw Chromatic Sphere, so... Play Tower, play Star, pass the turn. The good news is, if we happen to draw a Tron land, Sylvan Scrying for the 3rd Tron land, the fact that we have a Sphere in hand means that we can play Thragtusk on our Tron turn. We get bolted, opponent attacks us for 2, Karn, Great Creator on top, sack Star for green, play a Forest, Sylvan Scrying. This probably means we're dead, because unless my opponent's just holding 3 lands and draws a 4th here, they're going to be doing too much damage, I think. Well, they play a Sunbaked Canyon. Attack us for 2. Sylvan Scrying on top. Sylvan Scrying. Get a Power Plant. Play Power Plant. Play Chromatic Sphere. Okay, they do have a Skull Crack. We're dead to a single Lightning Bolt now, which is basically their whole deck. Yep. Well, we faltered on Tron, and my opponent had the Skull Crack, which they were leaving up to see if we could do like a Thrag Tusk or something this turn. Alright. No adjustments, run it back. I would like to play first. This is a mulligan. Natural Tron! You got it. We're going to keep everything except a Karn Great Creator. Start mine, pass the turn. This is the scenario where I kind of wish we had a Trinisphere in the side, where we're on the play, have Natural Tron versus Burn, but opponent suspends a Rift Bolt. We untap and draw Chromatic Star. Play Power Plant, play Star. This could affect our decision-making if we draw something like a Thrag Tusk and decide that we want to cast it next turn over something like Karn. Because right now I'm thinking Karn on turn 4, if our life total is still reasonably high. Opponent plays a Sacred Foundry and shocks, leaving up Skullcrack, Boros Charm, Lightning Helix, Path to Exile, basically everything. Lava Spike, down to 14. Lightning Bolt, down to 11. Yeah, it's correct to wait. We draw a Sphere. Play Tower. Sack Star for green. See what we get. Another Karn. In that case, I'm going to go for nuking lands. The fact that we can chain Karns here is pretty good if we need to. But if my opponent's mana screwed, we're going to limit the number of burn spells they can cast before we get down a Witchbane Orb or an Ensnaring Bridge. Opponent plays Scalding Tarn. Passes. We untap. Draw a map. Take out Mountain. Opponent floats a red. Pass to second main. Force them to use their mana. It's probably going to be a Skullcrack, I imagine. If they need 2 mana to cast it. It's either that or Boros Charm. There's the Skullcrack. Alright. Play a Forest. I could just go Karn Liberated, hit land. I think I'm gonna. That works way better for us if they don't have another land than even Witchbane Orb would. Nice! The flawless victory! Opponent has no permanence. Whew! Alright, I'll see you guys in round 4. Alrighty. Round 4, here we go. Multiple Ancient Stirrings is nice, but we do have more powerful 6s. Especially against an unknown opponent. I think the Relic makes this keepable, technically. Sphere or Star or Forest. Opponent just powdered. Opponent is playing Esper or Dimir Eldrazi. They just powdered an Eternal Scourge, so they effectively have a 7-card hand right now. I'm going to keep this. Relic, probably not actually good for Grave Hate. They start Eldrazi Temple. We draw another Karn Great Creator, so we know that at least if we get Thought Not Seared, they can only take one thing, and not deprive us of a particular card or other. Opponent plays an Underground River, Matter Reshaper, or Eternal Scourge? Matter Reshaper, alright. We untap, draw another Relic, crack Relic, we draw a Forest. I'm going to go with the Ancient Stirrings play here. We find an Urza's Mine, rest of the bottom, pass the turn. So it's going to be a turn 4 Tron, but I think that's okay. Opponent hits us for 3. We go to 17. So they probably are playing like Wasteland Strangler. They might even be playing Ulamog's Nullifier as like a counter spell. Okay, opponent plays Eternal Scourge from exile. We untap, we draw another tower, play Mine, Ancient Stirrings. I'm going to take Ulamog because we can play it in 2 turns. Rest of the bottom. Play Relic. Crack Relic and draw. Pass the turn. This way, if they do play a Thought Not Seer, they basically have to take Ulamog. Okay, they're going to attack us for 6. This is fine. We go to 11. Untap. We draw Wormcoil Engine. I think Wormcoil Engine is better than Karn here. I think it's less likely to get countered unless they're playing Mana Leak. Okay, play out the Star, pass the turn. It's also a hard creature for them to answer without like some kind of heavy kill spell. I'm not sure what that is, because I've not seen this deck at all from my opponent. I've actually never seen an Eldrazi deck playing this combination of colors. So the fact that we've run into them in the like 3-in-1 bracket, I mean, it's possible we got paired down, but I think my opponent's deck is sweet, and I'm kind of interested to see what else they'll do. I'm going to bring in Nature's Claim just on the off chance that my opponent has some kind of like Damping Sphere effect. It's unlikely because they do the same sort of thing. I guess Wilt is slightly better than Nature's Claim or Relic here. Actually, we don't want All is Dust basically at all, as far as I know. I'll bring in a Relic and a Nature's Claim again. I could play Weather the Storm, but I don't think I'm probably going to like chain Spheres and Stars. It might be relevant, so that's something to keep in mind for Game 3. Oh, I want Torpor Orb. That's what I want. I'm actually going to main deck Torpor Orb. Okay, this hand is not good. Okay, opponent powders. Abundant Maw. Interesting. They got no card advantage from exiling their initial hand. However, there's another thing that you need to be aware of if your opponent is playing Serum Powder Eldrazi, and that is their odds of drawing their high power spells. Like if they exile a hand like this, their odds of drawing something like another Eldrazi Temple is a lot higher. They're effectively starting with a 47 card deck, kind of a deal. We can still do better, even on a lower card count. It's going to be slow, but I'm going to put back the Ugins. They're not likely to do much. Opponent starts Eldrazi Temple, no plays. We draw Chromatic Sphere. Start Forest, Ancient Stirrings. Wormcoil Engine might be achievable this game. Pass the turn. Okay, Underground River. Opponent puts Chalice on 1. That is bad news. I am going to throw out this Chromatic Sphere into the Chalice because we have a low land count. We might draw Karn Great Creator, and if we do, we need to have our hand as small as possible for an Ensnaring Bridge play. Alright, Cavern on Eldrazi. They tap for white, so they're probably just casting a colorless Eldrazi spell. It's not likely they're playing Displacer. We get Thought Knotted. I imagine they take Wormcoil. Yep. Okay. We did draw Urza's Mine. I am going to play it, even though it does reveal information, simply because now if we top deck a tower, we can actually resolve a Karn. Something we have to be aware of is if our opponent plays Elder Deep Fiend, sacking Thought-Knot Seer, they can just like Time Walk us and just tap all of our lands on our upkeep, and there's nothing we can do about that. They hit us for 4. We'll go to 16. I mean, my opponent's deck seems kind of sweet, but I don't know about Mindbender and Abundant Maw. Those do not strike me as good cards. Actually, with Sky Spawner, they might. Because this is a creature that's pretty easy to sack to an Emerge. It also ramps you with an Eldrazi Scion, and it's like a fairly good rate for a creature in general. But it plays an Eternal Scourge. We untap Tower. Dang. Play Power Plant, pass the turn. We got Karn-Tron. Karn-Tron's just not good here. Opponent only has 2 cards left in hand. They're going to hit us for 9, and we're going to go to 7. We untap Tower. Here comes the Elder Deep Fiend, and we lose. Yep. They just tap all our lands and swing out for lethal. Now, Elder Deep Fiend, I do agree with being in this deck. I think Elder Deep Fiend is a great reason to run blue in an Eldrazi deck, but, Nature's Claim, I think, is probably a mistake. I think I would rather have the Relic to cycle. Especially with my opponent putting Chalice on 1 and stuff. Alright, I would love to play first. Multiple Ancient Stirrings / Expedition Map. I mean, I can only hope that this would be fast enough. The problem is, this hand makes me want to lead on Stirrings, because Chalice is a thing. You know what? We're going to try it. I don't know if this is right or not. I mean, we have Wilt, so if my opponent does put Chalice on 1, we can actually get rid of it, so. Gemstone Cavern. Exiling Underground River. We'll play Forest into Ancient Stirrings. Get an Urza's Mine. Pass the turn. Opponent plays an Eldrazi Temple, so they get to start with a 3-mana Eldrazi here. Matter Reshaper. We untap. We draw a star. Ancient Stirrings. Yeah, I think we gotta take Power Plant. I mean, we could take Karn and then try and rely on Expedition Map. We're probably going to get Thought Not Seared. Does that change our play? I'm going to take the power plant. We'll play mine, play star, pass the turn. It may have been correct to take Karn there to actually have a payoff, but I've got a feeling I'm going to get Thought Not Seared, and I don't want them to take a spell that is actually value. Alright, they hit us for 3. We go to 17. This is an Abundant Maw, Distended Mindbender. If this is Mindbender, I'm really glad I did what I did. It is. Because they would have been able to exile 2 cards instead of just 1. Opponent gets a Sanctum of Ugin, which is pretty good in their deck because they are playing a lot of high converted mana cost creatures. So my opponent can take Wilt or they can take Expedition Map. They probably take Wilt because if I was my opponent, I would just try and stop me from cycling. Unless they have some way to interrupt my mana base that I haven't seen yet. Sack Star for green, play Star, play Power Plant, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play an Eldrazi Temple, go to combat, hit us for 5. We go to 12. They're almost to like hard cast Deep Fiend territory, which is really scary. They're going to Thought Not Sear us. Is it better to let them take Wilt or whatever we top deck with it? The odds that we hit a land is pretty low. I'm going to cycle it just in case I do hit a land. They can't take anything. Perfect. So opponent whiffs with Thought Not Sear. We need Karn. We have 2 draws to find something to play. We untap. We draw Ugin. That's technically something to play. Cycle Star for green. Problem is, Ugin doesn't really do anything. Play Tower. Because it can't shrink either of my opponent's creatures. It can't kill either of my opponent's creatures. So I just have to like uptick and shoot my opponent. Hope that they try and kill Ugin because of like a threatening ult or something like that. And if they have Deep Fiend, we're probably just dead. Because they just tap all our lands and then we don't have anything. We just can't answer what's on board. But it plays another Sanctum of Ugin. So big deciding turn. They attack us for 9. We're probably dead. We go to 3. They could even just cast Abundant Maw and kill us. Okay? We untap. Don't do it. No, don't do it! Yep. We are dead to an Elder Deep Fiend. That's pretty good. And because our opponent's threats are colorless, Ugin does nothing. Yep. So, just in case we somehow had a way out of this, opponent is fetching up some backup plan creatures. A Reality Smasher and a Reality Smasher. Okay, we go to our main phase. Oh, jeez. Okay, I'm going to -9 Ugin in Defiance. Concede. That's a pretty sweet deck. I've never seen that before. I've been playing Modern for a long time. I've never seen that deck before. Still, cool. I'll see you guys in round 5. Alright. Round 5. Here we go. We will play first. This is not a good hand. That is a mulligan. Almost. I mean, it's still got potential, and with Grave Hate in this hand, maybe it does something else. We probably... Alright. So the question is, what card do we put back? It is unlikely we'll play Karn on turn 3. We probably won't assemble Tron until at least turn 4. But Karn is generally more useful versus more decks, I think, in the current metagame. So I'm going to put Ugin back. We'll see what happens. Alright. Pass to our second main, because I clicked one too many times. Start Chromatic Sphere. Pass the turn. Opponent's first turn. They're also Tron. They start Expedition Map. We untap. We have 2 draws to hit a Tron piece. Perfect. And we just make it look like it was planned all along. Play Tower. Or get Tower. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Plays a Wastes. They're actually Eldrazi Tron. Interesting. We have running Karn, so we should absolutely beat our opponent here, but... yeah. Most forms of Tron cannot beat an opposing player playing a Karn before they do. So, I'm going to bring in a Wilt, and I am considering Torpor Orb, just in the main deck, because Relic is probably not going to do that much. Actually, All Is Dust is not going to do anything at all, so... I'm going to take 1 Relic out for a Nature's Claim, just on the off chance that we have to start, like, Green Source from a weird mulligan or something, and our opponent starts Expedition Map. Okay, this hand, we do have Star Scrying, but our opponent is on the play, and we have no interaction, and we definitely have higher power 6s. This hand is very terrible. We're going to be going to 5. Honestly, Mind Sphere, Star, Stirrings is probably okay. So put back Ugin, put back Expedition Map, and we'll pass the turn. Opponent also mulligan to 5. Their mulligans are probably slightly better than ours. So start Urza's Mine, play Chromatic Star, pass the turn. We should at least be guaranteed to find a second land. Okay, opponent plays a Power Plant into a Matter Reshaper. Chalice on 1. Alright, now we're in trouble. Now we're in trouble because 90% of our deck is 1 mana. Yep, should have known that was going to happen. Not sure why I didn't think of that. It's okay if this is Thought-Knot here, it's just providing a clock. The rest of our hand is literally unplayable, so they can take anything. We untap, we keep drawing 1-drops. I'm going to keep casting spells into Chalice, just on the off chance we go like Power Plant, Tower, into Karn, top deck Karn, Great Creator, before we somehow die. Okay. Opponent plays Wastes. I think their clock is too fast for us to have a chance at winning, but... yep. Yeah, there's not enough time for us to win. Especially not without Dismember in this deck. Okay, run it back, hope for a better mulligan. We'll be on the play, which will be a huge advantage, provided that we have a hand that, you know, starts with Tron, or very quickly assembles Tron. Okay, we'll play first. We do have Tower Map and Star Stirrings. I'm actually going to keep this. It looks really weird, but as long as my opponent doesn't have Tron into Great Creator, I actually think this hand is fairly decent against them. So the plan is to start Map, because Map can sit on board for a couple of turns. There's always the chance that we just draw another Tron land and have turn 3 Tron, but... Pithing Needle on Map. It's a good thing I have a backup plan for this hand. Alright, would really like to draw a Tron land. So play Star. Oops. Play Blast Zone. Cycle Star for green. Ancient Stirrings. Alright. Take Chromatic Sphere. Rest of the bottom. Pass the turn. If we draw a land, we can Sphere into Sylvan Scrying. Unless my opponent's playing Chalice on 1 like they are right now. Alright, if we draw a Forest, we can cast Sylvan Scrying. Frickin' dang it. Same plan. We're throwing these out into the Chalice because we're not going to be able to cast a Wilt even if we draw it. Okay, opponent plays an Urza's Mine. Thought-Knot Seer. So they're going to take Sylvan Scrying because that's the only thing we can reasonably cast. It also kind of helps our curve if we do somehow. I did not expect my opponent to start Pithing Needle or have Pithing Needle in the main deck, so that was my bad. Pass the turn. The good news is, even if we draw a any old random land, we can play Karn Great Creator and snipe our opponent's Chalice to unlock most of our deck. There's a Power Plant. It's too bad that Blast Zone will blow up our own map. Okay, kill Chalice. Pass the turn. Opponent plays Tower. So it looks like they're just drawing lands. Okay, they hit Karn down to 2. We untap. Draw an Ancient Stirrings. Okay, we can wish for 1 card and 1 card only. Probably should be 4 mana or less, or we're not going to be able to do anything else. I think I just have to get Bridge and try and wait this out. If I blow up Pithing Needle, I also lose Expedition Map, so that's probably not acceptable. So let's go get Ensnaring Bridge. Pass the turn. This should slow my opponent down a lot, because they don't have a ton of answers to Ensnaring Bridge, or they shouldn't. Come on! Alright. So opponent wishes. They get a Liquid Metal Coating. We untap. We draw Ancient Stirrings. We have no way to get a card out of our hand, so we have to pass. Opponent untaps. They're probably going to blow up Blast Zone. But we can wait and see what they do with their mana first. They play Ugin, which lets them play Liquid Metal Coating for free. Okay, they're going to blow up a Tron land. I can either tick up Blast Zone to 2 to deal with Coating. Yeah, I have to. But I also have to top deck a land to actually blow up Blast Zone. So it's really our only chance. They hit us for 4 because we have 4 cards. They make a Spirit. We untap. Draw Relic. That's not what we needed. Play Relic. Can't do anything with it. Yeah, we just lost. If we top decked a land and we could Blast Zone away the Liquid Metal Coating, I think I made the right decision there. If we could blow up the Liquid Metal Coating and stop them from blowing up our lands, we would have a turn to try and find something else to dump our hand with so that we're not taking hits from this Thought-Knots here, but that's game. Which is unfortunate because, like, we definitely could have 4-1'd that league. So let's see, next turn we were going to draw Wilt, which we could have cycled, but did not answer the problem. And we were going to draw Ours Is Mine, so. Alright, well, we got a treasure chest, so we can open our treasure chest. A Core 2021 pack, 5 play points and a Ravager Worm. Let's open up our Core 2021 pack. Our rare is Liliana's Standard Bearer, and a bunch of cards that we don't care about. But, yep. Alright, so for the Tron list, I think my initial complaints about the sideboard were mostly fine. I understand Witchbane Orb being in the sideboard. I think that it being in the place of Trinisphere is okay. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Trinisphere has some other edge cases that Witchbane Orb does not, but I mean, they kind of do the same thing in certain matchups. They stop your opponent from casting spells. Trinisphere, I find, gives you a better hardlock capability, but I think, at least given the metagame that we're playing in, I think the relics in the main are fine if you're running into a lot of dredge. Double All Is Dust might be a little bit too much, but I was reminded that All Is Dust can sack Sanctum of Ugin, which Oblivion Stone cannot, and those cards are usually played in the same slot because Oblivion Stone, is 8 mana to blow up the board, hits other things than All Is Dust, but All Is Dust is 7 mana and is generally, in the general sense, more powerful, but not always. I think this list is pretty close to what I would be playing for this metagame. The only adjustment I would make, I'd probably take Oblivion Stone out of the side, either to add Trinisphere or add a second Veil of Summer. And I might drop a Relic for a Dismember or a Spatial Contortion. And I may drop an All Is Dust for the same reason. But other than that, I think this list is totally fine. If you like playing Tron, you could play this list. It's absolutely reasonable in the current metagame. If you like this video, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you are so inclined. And remember, you can follow me on Twitch. Same username over there as you find me on here. I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though the last few have been earlier. And I want you to know that you're all wonderful human beings, and I really appreciate the viewership. I'm happy that we finally crested 800 subscribers. It's been a long road, but it's cool. I never ever thought I would ever have that many subscribers, so that's actually really cool to me. Yeah, I don't really have any other announcements right now, so I will see you guys next time. Bye!